guys.
Hi, everyone.
Because that would be appropriate.
I don't see any bellies.
You still have time to run out and get pregnant.
Just please don't get pregnant while the interview is happening.
Yeah.
If you could refrain, we would appreciate it. Heidi Murkoff, welcome.
Thank you.
We're here to talk about raising awareness for the need for maternal care around the world. And tomorrow is Bump Day.
It is Bump Day. Not surprisingly, it's a Wednesday. Get it? Bump.
I didn't think of that.
Day.
I didn't think of that.
Oops.
I like it. That makes sense. Tell us how Bump Day was conceived. Another bad
You got
pun.
that one. So, you know, there's a lot of need for moms to have better prenatal care. But there's not a lot of awareness about it, truthfully. The maternal mortality rate in the world is extremely high. But even in this country, in the US of A, it is quite high, astonishingly high. But we had visited South Sudan, which has the distinction of having the highest maternal mortality rate in the world. They sort of switched back with Afghanistan, so that tells you a lot. And in South Sudan, a woman has a 1 in 9 chance of dying in childbirth in her lifetime. So it's very likely to happen. And infant mortality, of course, is really high as well. So we visited moms in South Sudan, in Syrian refugee camps in Jordan and Lebanon. Actually, we've been to South Sudan twice. We visited Somalian refugees in Ethiopia along the Somalian border. There is an absence of care, of just very basic care. So I'm talking about clean hands to deliver a baby with, clean water, soap, a clean space to deliver a baby in. In fact, the first time we were in South Sudan, we were visiting a clinic where they train midwives, which International Medical Corps does, and we have a partnership with them. It's an incredible program. So we're in the clinic where the midwifery students are learning, and in walks a woman, pregnant, very, very, very pregnant, who had walked literally 15 miles from her village to get to a place to deliver her baby safely. Heroic, but you know, the truth was, and I was there for the delivery, the truth was her baby, and she would not have made it had it not been for the midwives there who repositioned the baby all by hand because they don't have any equipment, they don't have any electricity, no electricity. So they actually saved her life and saved the life of her baby. And so really basic mission, help train more midwives, help generate awareness about that too many moms are dying in childbirth, and we don't talk about it. Too many moms die of preventable complications of pregnancy and childbirth. That's just not okay. So Bump Day is a day to celebrate beautiful bumps because, trust me, I love a good bump. But it's also a day to generate that awareness.
Spending time in those regions that you mentioned, Sierra Leone, South Sudan, I mean, when you think of having a baby, you generally think of very hopeful things. You think of love and lots of life and lots of hope.
Yeah.
This is heavy stuff for one person to be dealing with because you're dealing with that beautiful stuff in the context of incredible hardship and death. So how do you process that? How do you unpack that?
Wow.
It's heavy.
I can't even think of anything being heavy for me when I see a woman walking 15 miles heavy with her baby and seeing the hardships that she faces. But I always say motherhood is the ultimate sisterhood. So wherever I go in the world, no matter what a woman's socioeconomic, religious, racial, cultural, political profile, every mom shares a bond. And that bond is that she wants the best for her baby, period. And I've visited pregnant moms in prison. They too just want what's best for their babies. They want a healthy baby. They want a safe pregnancy. They want, a safe delivery. So we all have our struggles. Pregnancy is not easy. Having a baby is not easy. They don't call it labor because it's a walk in the park. But we take so many things for granted, and we shouldn't.
You did mention that the U.S. has an alarmingly high rate of maternal deaths
And infant.
For a developed nation. That's pretty surprising.
Highest.
Why is that?
So it all comes down to a lack of care and inequities in care. So you have moms who have and moms who have not. So we don't put a priority on moms and babies. I'm always going to D.C. and trying to convince, the Congress that we need to put moms and babies first. I always say a commitment to life. If you've got a commitment to life, that's a lifetime commitment, and that starts with providing reproductive care for women. Because, if you have back-to-back-to-back pregnancies because you don't have access to birth control, this is a problem globally, but it's also a problem here. So basic reproductive services and basic prenatal care are not a given for every mom. And if healthcare goes in any more of a south direction, then we can expect it to get worse. The inequities are, of course, larger in states like Texas. Just saying. I love Texas, but they've got to pay more attention to moms and babies and delivering them safely.
Anyone can make a donation to the Bump Day cause.
Yes.
Where does that donation go? How would it be used?
So we have a partnership with International Medical Corps. They are first responders, but they also train midwives. This is important because 22% of births in the world take place without medical help. That's a lot of births that are just like with either, just by yourself in a village, as a displaced person, as a Syrian refugee, whatever, but also with traditional birth attendants that may not be trained. So to train midwives is really important. Also to provide basic infrastructure, a safe birth kit for the midwives to use, which has things like gloves, because there might not be access to clean water. There usually isn't in all the places that we went to. Very rare to have electricity or clean water. And so these are basic necessities that women around the world don't have that will be provided through Bump Day donations.
Have you seen a lot of babies being born?
I've seen several, including my daughters, which was extra special. But yeah,
meaning your grandchild's birth.
Yes.
Thanks to your daughter. Okay.
Thanks to my daughter.
Because you were there when your daughter was born. I'm pretty sure of that.
I was there when my daughter was born. I'm not sure I really was super enthusiastic about that, but I was there. Yes, 3.5 hours of pushing. I was there. I do remember that.
You are the author of a little book. Has everyone heard of the book, What to Expect When You're Expecting? Kind of a big deal, this book. This book has been in circulation for more than 30 years. And in that time...
I have not been in circulation for more than 30 years. Just
much
for the
longer.
Record. Yeah.
In that time, the book has consistently been the go-to book or baby Bible for expectant mums. Congratulations. A movie was made out of this book. There are many other books in the series, in the franchise. You wrote this book in the early 80s. I feel like the world moves a lot faster now. What
You think?
I think so. I just have a hunch. What challenges do mothers and pregnant women face today that you think they perhaps didn't face as much in the early 80s?
Okay, well, I can speak from my own experience in that, how What to Expect was conceived was I got knocked up, right? We got married 3 months later. Oops, didn't see that coming. And so there were no books. There were very few books. There were a couple of books written by doctors. Not that there's anything wrong with doctors, but just because it's not a mom-to-mom kind of perspective that's important when you're going through this. So I literally, and you can't make this stuff up, I delivered a proposal for what to expect 2 hours before I went into labor with Emma. I just wanted other parents to sleep better at night than I had and then my husband Eric had. And so it was a mom on a mission kind of thing. So I would say moms today face the opposite situation where they have too much information. It's like you can call Page Dr. Google anytime you want and get the pants scared, right? The maternity pants scared right off of you. And that, it's a good thing. Knowledge is power. It's especially empowering when you're pregnant. So I'm a big believer in information, but sometimes the access to too much information, conflicting information, everybody's an expert, but you know that can also get you into some problems. So
it can be really confusing.
Wading through all of it.
Exactly, it can be confusing, overwhelming, and also it can also fuel the whole mummy judgment thing, because there are a lot of strong opinions on some of those mummy blogs.
And I have a strong opinion about that. The strong opinion being that there's no one good way to be a parent. There's no one choice to make. There are lots of good choices, with the exception of keeping yourself healthy during pregnancy, making safe birthing decisions, making good decisions about your baby, for instance, keeping your baby healthy and safe. Beyond that, like I would say immunization is a must, that I draw the line there. But beyond that, there's so many good ways to be a good parent. And we should be supporting each other as moms and dads instead of judging. Do not judge, because from breastfeeding to staying at home versus, I mean, every mom works, so that's silly on its face. But just the choice of whether to go back to work or not.
Well, let's dwell on that for a second. One of the big challenges these days is I think women strive hard to achieve balance, whether they are a stay-at-home mum or a working mum.
Good luck with that.
It is so hard. How do you think you coped with that? Because your career blew up after you released this book.
Well, it did take 5 years for sort of word of mom to spread, and because nobody... Believe it or not, there was not room on the market for a book written by a mom. That was like, what do moms know about pregnancy? But so initially it was slower, but I did keep writing books. And balance for me, I just kept her at my breast all the time so that I could, work. That was about it, And so it's elusive finding that balance. You can't be, you shouldn't only not judge other moms, but you should go easy on yourself and cut yourself some slack, because there's no such thing as a perfect parent. There's no such thing as a perfect baby. I know you think your babies are perfect. I thought my babies were perfect. Well, not really, because they both had colic. But in other words, you have to cut yourself that slack and realize you can't do everything perfectly, right. And you shouldn't even bother trying. If everybody's alive at the end of the day, as they say, you've done your job.
Going back to the actual bump, in 1991, actress Demi Moore famously posed nude. Was she nude or semi-nude? She was nude.
She was nude, painted,
7 months,
body painted.
Right, 7 months pregnant on the cover of Vanity Fair, and a lot of people went, this is kind of gross. This isn't done. And now...
Just like pulling out a boob to breastfeed. It's like...
Now Instagram has created this platform for baby bumps all over. We had Beyonce inundating us with pregnancy photos, very glamorous ones. Then you've got mums revealing the realistic side of having a bump or having had a bump.
Or C-section scar.
Right, stretch marks. It's all out there now. Do you think that's helpful? Or does that...
Yes.
It's helpful? It doesn't create more pressure for mums? Or
No. I feel that bumps should be celebrated. And that's sort of part of the bump day concept, is that you post your bump wherever you live, whether it's covered, whether it's naked, whether you're in Somalia or whether you're in, South Dakota. You post your bump and be proud of being pregnant. Remember, when I was pregnant for the first 2 and last 2 times, we didn't get to show our bumps off. So we had to hide them under pup tents of polyester.
Moo-moos.
You could sleep a family of 4 under these things. And I want a do-over. I want to be able to wear all those cute clothes and show my baby bump off, because I had a really awesome one.
There is some great maternity fashion out there now. It's leather pants. Amazing.
Okay, well, I don't know about breathability of that, but...
No, with the elasticized belly.
Yes. No, I meant...
You can wear anything now.
Other regions, but I'm just saying. But I think that's great, because pregnancy is something to celebrate. It's not something to hide. And I think if we talked more openly about pregnancy, and we talked more openly about breastfeeding, and we talked more openly about things like postpartum depression, instead of always covering things up or sweeping them under the rug, then we would have a lot more healthy attitudes and a lot more healthy pregnancies and babies.
One of the good things about being a mum is that you forget stuff. And my kids are 4 and 6.
That's a nice spin.
Stay with me. My kids are 4 and 6, and I have forgotten so much of that early stuff. I wanted to buy a present for a friend who has a 6-month-old recently, and I couldn't remember what a 6-month does. Are they eating solids? Are they walking? Are they doing algebra? I just couldn't remember, because once you get out...
Next time I'll give you the...
Well, this is what I wanted to ask you, because you've stayed in this world and you're such an advocate for an advisor in all things related to maternity and raising kids. You don't get to forget any of this stuff. Do you ever kind of feel like, I want to move on from the birthing stage?
Nah. Nah. I love being around expectant parents and new babies and toddlers. I thrive on that. So no danger of that. I miss being pregnant. Do I remember labor? That's one place where it's helpful when you forget. Yeah. By the way, the pregnant brain shrinks 8%. Did you know that? It's this is your brain on pregnancy hormones. It's it's not pretty, but it does plump back up, so you do.
Does it though? Still waiting for the pumping up phase.
Yes, well, that's sleep deprivation. That's a different story.
Yeah, exactly. It is very easy to recall the specialness of being pregnant, and I do miss that as well. Is there a particular aspect of being pregnant or having a newborn that you remember? Breastfeeding. Some people loved breastfeeding. I loved breastfeeding.
I loved breastfeeding. I mean, once I got the hang of it, because it's a natural process, it does not come naturally, which a lot of people don't realize. I loved just rubbing my belly, feeling those hiccups and those moves inside. That was very special. And babies smell incredible. I think that we're always trying to rush through our lives and rush, to get through a different phase. But they don't stay that sweet forever. We're not going to talk about the teenage years because I don't want to depress you. But I always say stop and smell the babies. Literally, you have to take that time to savor every moment of that sweetness because it's fleeting. You blink and they grow up before your eyes, and so don't blink. Did you blink?
I blinked. Oh. Well, I didn't blink because I was awake for 2 years. It feels like it. But that is absolutely true. It is also the most aggravating bit of advice that you can give to a new mum.
Oh, totally.
All the mums that would pass me.
Sleep when the baby sleeps. That's right. The one that really pisses them off.
Right. But it is absolutely true. I mean, I remember pushing my baby in a pram and somebody would come past and say, "Oh, enjoy every minute. It doesn't last." And I would say, "I haven't slept in 3 months. I can't wait till this child is 18 so I can get some sleep."
Super special.
But now that they're 4 and 6, it went by very fast, and yeah, you've got to savor it. And I wish you could bottle that smell.
Oh, that's
the baby head smell.
Oh, it's way better than new car smell. Baby smell is like the best.
I have one more question before we kick it out to the audience. What do people ask you most often when it comes to advice? Expectant mums, what's the question you get more than others?
Well, typically it's, am I doing this right? And then that's my opportunity to say there are lots of good ways to do it, and you're not necessarily. You have to trust your gut in a lot of times, and know that we all have instincts. They just take longer to surface in some of us than others. And also, I think it's important to point out that dads, there's no maternal special sauce, right? So it's not necessarily, I was actually talking about this with Somalian refugees at the camp in Ethiopia, that dads too have the ability to nurture just as well as moms. They can't breastfeed, can't be pregnant. We're working on that. But in the meantime, we all have the ability to nurture, and that you just have to give it time and patience and lots of love. So true. Do we have some questions from our audience? Hi.
I'm really saddened to hear about the lack of maternal care in our country, and I'm also a little embarrassed that I'm so surprised to hear that. I'm wondering
Senators are surprised.
Yeah,
I'm
wondering what you think that we can do, all of us can do, to help change that.
I think that we can all advocate for better health care. I think we're in really sort of scary times now in terms of our healthcare system isn't even good enough, and now they want to. The truth is that they want to weaken it, and right up there is maternal health. Like how they wanted to take away maternity care as a benefit, that must be provided. Guess what? 50% of pregnancies are unplanned. So, including my first one. So that means that if you don't have insurance when you get pregnant, oh well. So I feel it's really important to advocate for universal health care, for health care with no caps, for what, say you had a really complicated first pregnancy or a delivery that was strict. You will be charged more for insurance. That's not okay. And the inequities of, African-American moms are like 3 times more likely to give birth preterm. Maternal mortality is way higher in certain populations and in certain states. That's just a basic, have-not situation. And you can speak up about that. And you can write to your and by spreading awareness on Bump Day. This is really important. Too many babies die. Too many moms die. We're in 2017. What? We still have this, 830 moms die every single day in childbirth. 830 around the world. That's crazy. They're all preventable. So that's what we're up against, but I really appreciate that because our future is their future. Without the foundation of healthy pregnancies and healthy births and healthy babies who will become healthy adults, we don't stand a chance. It's an economic issue. It's a global issue, probably one of the, besides climate change, probably the most pressing global issue. It affects everyone. So it's super important to speak up and spread awareness about the fact that our country does such a poor job in terms of maternal health.
Hi, thank you for being here. So you mentioned before what your favorite part about being pregnant was. Mm-hmm. I wonder, what is your least favorite part, or what was the most challenging?
So the most challenging was not having information, like answers to my questions. So but I had really easy pregnancies. I'm not going to lie, I can't make it up. A lot of women, I don't know about you,
They were
Did
easy.
you have the morning sickness?
No, not really.
No, so I loved every minute of it. But of course, the problem was that I had so much anxiety just from not having answers to my questions that kept me up at night. But the pregnancy itself, and funnily enough, even when I didn't have morning sickness, I assumed that was a bad sign. Like, you're supposed to have morning sickness, so that means my baby's dead, and I don't even know. So I haven't felt the baby kick in 3 days. Oh my God! So it was all self-induced stress, which is why I had to write the book. But I did love being pregnant. But not every mom is that lucky, I have to say. Look at poor Kate Middleton.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Yeah,
Terrible morning sickness.
that's a royal pain.
Hi. Hi. I was wondering while you wrote the book, what the reception was like and what the reception is like now. Also, my mom said thank you for writing the book.
Aww. Oh, well, you came out great, so I can't take credit for that. So the reception was very kind of lukewarm at that time because, I mean, I even remember going to a medical conference and giving books out to OBGYNs, and they were all, again, nothing wrong with this, but they were older men, older white men, and they saw the book and they said, what do women know about pregnancy? Literally. So there was this feeling that unless you were a doctor, you didn't know, but you do have to be able to put yourself in a pregnant woman's shoes and realize that the reason that the shoes don't fit is her feet are swollen, right? This is just like the empathy that can't come from any other place. And so that was, now doctors, hospitals use it to train residents. So I would say that pregnancy has evolved a lot. It's still 9 months. You're still bloated and queasy and constipated. But the way we experience pregnancy and the way parents, moms and dads are both more involved. It's not like a spectator sport. You're really a participant. You're in a partnership with your doctor, and doctors have come a long way in accepting that rather than, don't worry, dear, we'll take your pregnancy from here kind of thing. So give your mom a hug from me. I'm all about the hugs, so.
And tomorrow we all have something to do. We all have to post a photograph. If you don't have a bump yourself, that's fine.
But you can post your mom's bump.
Your mom's bump, maybe your friend has a bump, maybe your partner has a bump.
Yep.
Just post a picture of a bump.
Past or present. So I'll be posting the very few photos I have of myself pregnant because, again, we didn't take pictures of that back in the day, but I will be posting mine, and I hope you post yours. It's just hashtag bump day. It could not be easier. And then spread some messages, and there's lots of messages on bumpday.org or on the Bump Day Facebook that you can spread messages about maternal health and how you support it, which I hope you will because our future kind of depends on it.
Heidi Murkoff, thank you so much for these wise words.